Hi, good evening to you. It's the first day of September 2015. This is our primetime news bulletin. It's News Night Live on Metro Television, and I am Ignatius Ano. Let me run by you our top stories making headlines this hour. Apathy towards district-level elections exposed as most Ghanaians fail to vote. Tonight, we'll hear from the Electoral Commissioner Kudayo on this development. Meanwhile, lapses in operations by some EC officials in the Eastern region nearly masked the process. Ghana ready to implement the International Maritime Organization Member State Audit Scheme, which takes effect in January 2016. And later, Al-Shabaab fighters in Somalia killed scores of African Union troops in an attack south of the capital, Mogadishu. Details momentarily. Hello again. I thank you for joining me on News Night. Let's take a closer look at the news now in detail. And the district assembly elections at Teshie and La today were generally peaceful except at one polling station, Teshie Kobo, Congo Cafe. My colleague Gabriel Obodai Togbashon, who visited these areas, reports of a violent act between supporters of some candidates, which led to some sustaining various degrees of injuries.
Polling stations I visited on the election day include La Olympia A and B, La Lantejanwe A and B, La New Life A, B, C and D, Teshie Accra West A and B, and Accra East Congo Cafe. The exercise was generally peaceful at all the polling stations except Teshie Accra East Congo Cafe, where there were confrontations, fighting and injuries among supporters of candidates. And there came police and army reinforcement to quell the crisis. Ni Yebua, a candidate accused of sponsoring a section of the youth, denied the allegations.
The normal visit to the polling station was what I came to do, but not to actually cause confusion here.
Another issue I observed beyond the low turnout is extortion of monies from candidates. I witnessed over a dozen of electorates who demanded cash from candidates in order to vote for them. Others, like these young men, were appeased with drinks. The concerns raised about this development were that election of candidates be based on competency and not who can offer more cash for the betterment of our society. From Teshie Accra Okpo, this is Gabriel Obodai Togbashon reporting.
And there was near violence at the Roman Catholic School polling station at Nima here in Accra after election materials were delayed for more than 4 hours. This angered voters and nearly resulted in a chaotic situation. But the timely intervention of the Electoral Commission chairperson and other top hierarchy from the police calmed nerves. David Atto reports.
This was the scene at the Roman Church polling station at Nima, sparked by a delay in the voting process as a result of inadequate electoral officers to mount about 15 polling stations at the time of my visit at around 11:30 Tuesday morning. Residents and leaders in the area then charged to the Roman School polling station to demand answers, a situation that called for reinforcement by the security agencies.
I saw a whole lot of buses being, people were stranded and they didn't know what to do. Then I contacted the official and asked him as to what the way forward. And he told me emphatically the trainees did not turn up. So I told him that if they are not turning up, those who have been trained already, why can't you dispatch them to their destinations? And he quickly told me that if anything at all, the election will come. Some of the elections, they will cast their vote tomorrow. I said, no way.
So I know our voting should start from 7 a.m. and to close by 5 so that counting will start taking place. We have been here by 6:30 a.m. Went to my polling station, there is no box, there is nothing.
The confusion at the center attracted the presence of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, Accra Regional Police Commander, Christian Tete Yohuno, the Director General of Operations of the Ghana Police Service, COP John Kudalo.
This is an operational matter, so I have to come out and see whether my men have been posted to the various polling stations as we did the deployment. So I'm here to check the deployment and see how the elections is going on. But so far as I'm concerned, my men are in charge of my 2 officers who are scheduled here of the men. So far, I think the men are in control.
The only problem we have is the problem of the electoral officers who have to, fill the gap so that quickly the election can go on successfully. But for our men, they are on the ground. All the security agents, we are working together with the prisons and the fire service. So, and then you see the Director General of Operations, even the Inspector General of Police, we are all going around to assess situations on the ground.
After nearly an hour of the confusion, the EC dispatched personnel and electoral materials to the Urea polling station, but the electorates refused to participate, insisting that they were not in the mood to cast their votes.
It is the EC officials who have not actually conformed themselves within the context of the law. So we want them to also agree with our people that now people tempers are a bit high. They should be able to, they should have the patience to also deal with our people and then try to negotiate at a very reasonable, on a very reasonable grounds. Looking at things, it is better for them to postpone it to the following day.
My rounds also took me to the Swalaba polling stations A and B in the Kinka electoral area in the Ododo-Diodio constituency, where there was low turnout as at that time. The situation was not different at the Jamestown Police Station polling station and the St. Thomas Preparatory Polling Center. Here, there was a near clash between the incumbent assemblyman and some residents. The Chief's Palace Polling Station 1, 1A, 1B, Police Station 2 and the Osu Police Station centers had all recorded very low turnout as at the time of our visit.
Right, so we're still updating you on today's district level elections. Let's go to the Bunuahafo region, where we understand that most voters are currently in a long queue waiting to cast their votes. That's particularly in the Etua Hinikrom district of the Esunafo South district of the Bunuahafo region. We'll keep a close eye on that story and keep you updated. Let's move to the Eastern region now, where our correspondent Ken Afeji is reporting that verification machines in certain polling stations were not functioning hours when the polls opened. He makes me understand this situation nearly marred the election process.
It was obvious all was not well at the polling stations in Koforidua, visited by the news team on Tuesday morning. 2 clear hours after polling stations were opened, no one showed any interest. And to further worsen the situation, the verification machine needed for the exercise was not functioning properly. Angry electorates walked out of the polling centers because they were simply frustrated. Few others sat down idly in anticipation it will be fixed so they could cast their votes. They poured out their frustration to Metro News.
And they working deep. It is a working day near Twaba. Never ban up by distance, see machine, there. My brother, who shall baton or be crack on baby. It is a baby or moya, and 10. To say me, I'm a busy me walk, and a match on Waba. Me says him, mean to say, make Massa and I mean to me come back. And in a problem. Oh, and by any bin no mukuja, or Babatuan and a son or Konuja, or Baba machine. No, I don't know what.
It took officials of the EC some time to have the issue resolved. Metro News was later informed that the problem was occasioned by the negligence of some officers who refused to fall on the new register that tarried with the verification machine.
All right, so let's journey with you to the Sekendi Takrade metropolis in the Western region, where residents of Kansarurado, a community in the Sekendi Takrade metropolis, staged a protest threatening not to vote or allow anyone participate in today's district-level elections. They told our Western regional correspondent Patrick Animal Arthur that the protest was in solidarity with their former assemblyman who was disqualified hours before the election.
Kansarurado electoral area this morning at about 7 a.m. when we got there had mounted the road blockage and burning ties. Their reason is that their favorite candidate in the ongoing elections has been disqualified. by the electoral commissioner. When I asked the electoral commissioner, he noted to me that the man in question, who is the incumbent assembly member seeking for re-election, was tried for a contempt of court and was imprisoned around July 2015. So by virtue of that, he can't contest for the assembly elections. That is why he has been disqualified. Because of this, most of the people at Cansarodo have refused to vote. That is the situation now. At the end of voting at Cansarodo electoral area, voter turnout was very, very low. This is because the electorate are saying that because their favorite is not running, they are not going to vote. About 15 people have cast ballots at the electoral area.
All right, so shortly we will be speaking to the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. But before that, let's speak to Sylvia Ano, who is Public Relations Officer, Principal Public Relations Officer for the Electoral Commission. She joins me on the phones. Good evening, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Right, so how does the EC account for this rather shabby performance, people are saying?
I don't know where you got your qualification from, but for me, I think it is premature to make any pronouncement in that direction because we've had series of district assembly and unit committee elections, over the years, and the turnout has not been any different. The only thing is that we cannot quantify this in terms of the local state. The number of people who will able to tell you that it's premature. Let's wait for the electoral commission to get all the figures together. Then when we are making comparative analysis, we'll be making it based on figures and not just on speculation.
Right. So shabby not because the exercise hasn't ended, so it is premature to talk about that, but shabby because some of your officers were unable to handle the machines, i.e. the verification machines that has delayed the process. Up until now, there are voters in the Bonafo region who are still in queue to vote.
On the contrary, let me talk about bits of information I gathered from the field and what I also experienced. Here in the Western region, we didn't experience anything like that. And I have also heard people recounting that they never had that kind of problem with the verification machine. You see, some of the officials manhandle the machine, and that may probably, might have caused this kind of problem. I told one of the journalists this morning that if somebody should tell you that there's a problem with the machine, find out from them what really happened. Probably they are not sticking to the regulations, given them by the electoral commission. By and large, the verification machine works very well this time around, and because most of them, I'm sure, adhere to the rules and regulations. That's where I went. So we had backups, and they didn't even use the backup. If you talk about expansion of the period, there is an inbuilt extension period for voting, in the sense that if you get to the registration to the polling station before 5 p.m., you need to you need to be given the kind of priority or the right to exercise the franchise. That is very important. So that if voting started probably late, around 11, due to certain factors, and it's been extended, there's an inbuilt mechanism, so it's been extended. Fine. These are isolated cases, but let's wait for, like I said earlier on, let's wait for the electoral commission to get all the facts and figures together so we can make proper analysis.
Right. We'll surely get back to you in our subsequent news bulletins. Sylvia Ano is Principal PRO for the Electoral Commission. You're still watching Newsnight. We'll take a short break here at this point. When we return, we'll touch base with Kodeyo. I'll be right back. Hello again. You're welcome back to News Night. It's live on Metro Television with me, Ignatius Ano. Let's still stay with the district level elections, and Albert Kofi Ahin is national coordinator for the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. He joins me on the phones for some discussions on today's exercise. Good evening. Thank you for joining me on News Night. So you heard me speak to the EEC. They have no answers, at least for now, because they think that it is quite too early. From where you stand, what do you make of today's exercise?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. Yes, what we are saying is that, we released a midday report, and we were of the opinion that the Electoral Commission procedurally has conducted a very good election, because, all the police stations virtually were open around 8 a.m. A few were open, quite late, but it wasn't anything significant to talk about. And we also are saying that all the rules and regulations were followed. But there are general observations when it comes to the close of the poll. What we observed from the report that we have received from our district supervisors is that voting took place in a very calm and peaceful atmosphere at most of the polling stations. However, there were some incidents, such as intimidation and violence, occurring in some polling stations that they monitored. There were a few cases of suspension of electoral proceedings, breakdown of biometric devices, and inability of some voters to verify their biodata. And their names, of course, as they said it, were missing from the voters register. And let me give you examples. There was a case of an Islamic primary school in Boko, precisely at the Sagado electoral area, where voting was delayed for 45 minutes. Because the battery ran out.
Well, you're just talking about 45 minutes. There have been polling stations that delayed way over 2 hours.
Yeah, some delayed for how many, 2 hours?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm talking about delayed for 45 minutes.
Right.
And yes, this battery was in place. Then at JSS in Obuasi, some people's names could not be verified. Some names were not in the register.
Right, Ms. Ahin, obviously we've captured that in our earlier reports, but can I quickly find out from you what the EC can do better? I mean, this is just a district level elections, really.
Oh no, it was negligible, because when you look at the generality of the whole process, you could see that these are minor incidents which could generally be rectified come 2016. So these are pointers. I think it's good that these things are coming out so that the EC will be taking note of them so that they can rectify them.
Right, thank you. I appreciate your time. For lack of time, Albert Kofi Ahin is National Coordinator for the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. Business News, next up. The arrival of the much-anticipated power budgets this month to ease the situation may be delayed if claims by the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, aren't really anything to go by.
According to the African Center for Energy Policy, its checks have revealed that Ghana National Petroleum Commission has still not paid the requisite $100 million in an escrow account, which will facilitate the provision of the emergency power by Turkish company Cow Power. The date for the arrival has been rescheduled ahead on a number of times. Deputy Power Minister John Jinapo has said that the budgets would be arriving in September 2015. But African Center for Energy Policy says Ghana National Petroleum Commission is yet to pay the requisite $100 million, which will facilitate the provision of the budgets by Cow Power. Speaking on an Accra-based radio station, Director of Operations and Resource Mobilization at African Center for Energy Policy, Benjamin Boachi, says people should start asking questions now to ensure government meets its deadline to avoid any postponement. The budgets would not leave the shores of Turkey if the $100 million has not been deposited into the escrow account. It will take about 3 weeks for the budgets to arrive in Ghana.
And Ghana has expressed its readiness to begin implementation of the International Maritime Organization Member State Audit Scheme, which takes effect in January next year. The International Maritime Organization is the UN specialized agency for international shipping, mandated to develop regulations for safety and security of ships and also to protect maritime environment against vessel source operations. The regional training course for auditors under the IMO member state audit scheme has begun in Accra to sensitize member states of the responsibilities when implementation begins in January 2016.
I take this opportunity to assure the IMO that Ghana is fully committed to the scheme and is putting in place the requisite preparatory measures to position itself for the audit scheme which takes off in January 2016.
Ghana expressed a readiness to begin implementation.
It is, however, my hope that the audit will not only dwell on fiscal enforcement of the instrument, that is survey, inspection and certification of ships, as well as examination and certification of seafarers, but will also look at the national laws and sanctions that have been put in place to implement the various IMO conventions.
Participants are drawn from Ghana, the Gambia, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria, Sao Tome and Principe, Sierra Leone and Seychelles. Participants will be taken through audit processes, audit planning, preparation, conducting the audits, report writing and follow-up audits. The regional training course will end on Friday, the 4th of September. That's all for business, sports, international news next when the news returns.
Thank you for joining us. It's now time for sports. My name is Prince Anan. Now, the Ghana Football Association's disciplinary committee has upheld Accra Hearts of Oak's protest against Kumasi Asante Kotoko in respect of the eligibility of Obed Owusu in their Match Day 25 Premier League encounter played on the 2nd of August 2015.
Several weeks of anxiety and waiting, the disciplinary committee of the Ghana Football Association has finally ruled on the protest case brought before it by Accra Hearts of Oak against Asante Kotoko on the use of Obed Owusu in the Week 25 match of the Ghana Premier League at the Accra Sports Stadium. In that particular match, in which Kotoko won by 2-1, the Phobians later contested the eligibility of Obed Owusu, who they claim had attracted more than 3 yellow cards. Though the Kumasi-based club has stood its grounds and defended the use of Obed Owusu, the disciplinary committee, upon its investigation, has ruled the case in favor of the Rainbow team. Accra Hearts of Oak has therefore been declared winners of that league match and awarded 3 points and 3 goals, whilst the Porcupine Warriors have been deducted 6 points from their already accumulated 42 points. With the disciplinary committee ruling, Asante Kotoko now has 36 points and has thus dropped to the relegation zone to the 15th position. The Phobians, on the other hand, are now on the 7th position on the league log with 39 points.
Asante Kotoko, as a football club, has the right to appeal against the ruling.
We'll continue with the news now. And the senior national team, the Black Stars, this afternoon defeated their Congolese counterparts by 3-2 in a friendly match played in Brazzaville ahead of Saturday's 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Rwanda. The match, which was played to unveil the 60,000 capacity newly constructed Kintele Stadium, had the Stars take a 2-0 lead at half-time with goals from Richmond, Boachiyadom and Babele's own goal. Claude Leroy's side, however, leveled at 2-2 in the second half before Jordan Ayew connected home the winning goal in injury time from Efriye Akwa's pass. Coach Avram Grant's side will now leave to Kigali, where they will face Rwanda on Saturday in the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations Group H qualifier. That's it for news. Thank you very much. That's it for the sports news. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much. We'll do a very quick break. When we come back, News Night continues.
Hello again, you're welcome back to Newsnight. Let's do the international news now. And Al-Shabaab fighters in Somalia have killed scores of African Union troops in an attack south of the capital, Mogadishu. And that's how we end Newsnight, which came to you live from our studios at Laboni in Accra, also on DSTV channel 277. I am Ignatius Ano. I thank you for watching. See you again tomorrow. Good night.